Hello folks, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 releases in exactly a week's time, and during these weeks leading up to launch, I have been dropping a handful of videos detailing absolutely everything we could want to know about the game. For today's video, we have a deep dive into the game's raw combat mechanics, looking at how things perform both in and outside of clan affinity / class selection, as well as what kind of skills we have available, and a little bit of information regarding enemy types, etc. To start us off, I've covered a fair bit of Nuance 2 combat already. However, we have this dev diary right here, titled Dev Diary 25 Advanced Combat and Weapons, where it breaks down the basic combats and shows more raw examples than I've managed to find anywhere else. And this goes as follows. When blades come out in Bloodlines 2, unless you've taken extra care to isolate your prey, you are going to be outnumbered. While several discipline abilities can help you escape or swiftly resolve a fight, you'll need to do a bit of brawling when those options aren't available. Spacing is key. Your basic attacks can make short work of individuals, but are risky when you're getting sliced apart from all sides. The basic attacks get used a lot, so during their development, I was keen to make time to give each clan their own set. Banu is sharp and fast, Ventrue firm and precise, Tremere has a bit more reach to let you maintain distance, and Bruja, well, punches stuff. It is a small thing, but I found it really helped people get into the attitude and poise of their current class. Dashing is an ability Fire can use regardless of clan and is critical for maintaining distance. It can even be used aggressively. Dashing forward into a strike right as it hits will break your opponent's guard and leave them open for a counterattack, though this is best suited for one-on-one situations. And the footage we have here shows each clan affinity's stance and style with basic combat, which I'll likely keep showing in the background throughout. Kicks are another useful tool and are great for handling groups. Done by attacking straight after a dash, you can pick which type you use with your movement direction. A big swinging roundhouse can stumble a large group, but won't create much space, whereas a back kick can send a single enemy soaring away. Both you and your opponents will be able to resist attacks used repeatedly, so you'll want to mix things up a bit to stay on top. The clip we have here is Fire landing a well-timed counter, which leaves the enemy open to an attack. Whilst kicks are great for getting opponents away from you, telekinesis is perfect for bringing them close. You can use it to yank a chosen target in for a follow-up or a feed, though consider that Kindred and their ghouls may be expecting this. Telekinesis can also earn a quick kill when used to pull an unsuspecting enemy near the edge of a rooftop, causing them to fall to their death on the street below. In the video itself, we have telekinesis being used to pull an enemy into the range of feeding. Breakable objects like bottles and ashtrays can be grabbed using telekinesis and then thrown to create noise, thus distracting enemies. If you really want to create a bang, pick up and throw an explosive, such as a gas tank, a good way to hurt several enemies at once. Telekinesis can also be used to pick up weapons from the dead, from knives all the way to sniper rifles. A goal of Fire's combat design was to be fast and fluid, so we incorporated the use of telekinesis with weapon use to maintain speed and flow. You can kill one opponent, dump their gun's magazine into a second, and toss it at a third to open them up for your next attack. This can be even more useful when used in tandem with discipline abilities. For example, Tremere's explosive blood curse can be triggered from a distance with a well-placed shot, and Bruja's taunt, when used with mass manipulation, can encourage a whole team of opponents to drop their weapons, allowing you to turn them on their owners. And the video right here is of enemies dropping their weapons when mass manipulation is combined with taunt. And of course, the bigger they come, the harder they fall. When fighting enemies equipped with explosives, telekinesis can lead to an even more devastating turnabout. Now, the dev diary goes on to detail consumables and their effects, which I have covered before, but to summarise very quickly, mending elixirs recover health, blood elixirs restore blood pips which are required to use abilities, potent elixirs boost your strength, temporarily increasing your damage dealt by attacks, and then fortitude elixirs turn your skin to stone and temporarily reduce incoming damage. Next, we have the following section regarding actual abilities being used in and around of combat, which goes as follows. Having recently started a playthrough to test out my favourite clan Tremere, I've enjoyed the sense of space control a well-planned fight can give you. Starting out by placing recall up high so that I can teleport away if it gets out of hand. Later in the game, mixing disciplines from different clans can make fighting more powerful Kindred much easier. There are a lot of useful combinations that Ventrue's mass manipulation can provide to manage many combatants at once. The effect of Banu Hakim's mute on a group can make sure that the battle goes unnoticed by nearby enemies. And it's not just your own powers, but the environment that you'll have to observe, helping you find tools that are left lying around. Not all enemies will go down that easily, and I'm really excited for you all to learn how much trouble you're in when you face off against your first Kindred foe. Their powers can quickly make well-planned fights go wrong if you are knocked over and surrounded. Using Cauldron of Blood to draw everyone to the screaming victim, and then picking one of them to explode with Blood Curse can blast a lot of the crowd away before I even get close to the fighting. and when it does go wrong, as it always will eventually, a quick blood curse on the ghoul chasing you can serve as a very handy projectile if you kick them into the people behind them. In the video, we have fire triggering the blood curse put on an enemy with a thrown bottle. Nobody's invulnerable to an exploding gas bottle telekinetically thrown at their head, and they're easier to aim at when you've locked them in place with mass manipulation. If everything else fails, then you can just use possession on a ghoul and make them jump somewhere nobody will notice them. In the video, we have fire possessing an enemy and then controlling them to jump off a roof. And then finally, at the end of this dev diary, we have a small section regarding difficulty, which I thought worth covering whilst we are here. While difficulty settings are a standard feature for action RPGs, we thought we'd mention that they are included, as we recognise our audience's varied preferences for challenges and strive to accommodate them with carefully designed difficulty settings. For players primarily invested in narrative and exploration, easy mode ensures a smooth experience by making combat encounters more manageable. Normal mode represents the intended balance of the game, challenging players to adapt and use a mix of stealth, combat, abilities, and elixirs to succeed. For those seeking a more formidable challenge, hard mode delivers an out-of-vampire experience, demanding mastery of all your skills and strategies. Now, that was an awful lot, and as deep as this goes, it does still leave a lot for us to discover ourselves come launch, but for all intents and purposes, combat is looking very, very promising. I will be revisiting the abilities in the next couple of days, once we do have the final clan video, and can then correctly compare them all, so I won't say too much regarding them here. But the directional combat mechanics, counters, kicks, use of telekinesis, and even unique style and stance based on clan do all sound very good as a baseline for combat. Now, before we do wrap things up, I grabbed a few snippets from this dev diary here titled Hunters, and they go as follows. First and foremost, the IAO needed to represent a different type of enemy to those that the player would have already encountered in the game, as opposed to the rough and ready Anarch. IAO are a highly trained paramilitary force hunting a very specific type of prey. From their hard leather-padded extremities or the glazing haze of the thermal weapons, we really wanted the IAO to both look and feel like an adversarial force an outer vampire would think twice about before attacking. IAO are human and thus use technology and tactics to fight their foe, so it was important that we convey the range of enemies and the threat that they pose to fire as visually and distinctively as possible. Ranged enemies have large hooded ponchos, framing their piercing eyes from range. The more upfront melee enemies have wide dynamic stances as they swing their thermal batons at you. The weapons are military grade, so overall feel harder, heavier, and built for a specific purpose. The IAO may not have the perks of ghouls or vampires, but they are a formidable force, using technology to their advantage. IAO agents are more organised than the other enemies you would have faced by this stage of the game. They patrol the facility in groups, making it harder to pick them off one by one, and their use of night vision goggles, searchlights, and personal radios requires you to be more strategic if you want to take them out without being spotted. If you engage the IAO in combat head-on, they will use militaristic tactics with better accuracy and knowledge of their weapons, knowing where to shoot you for the most damage. They wear combat armor, allowing them to take more damage than other humans, but are still weak compared to ghouls and vampires. They make up for their mortal frailty with an arsenal of anti-vampire weapons, which are the strongest you will face in the game. Thermal batons for close combat, which, unlike other enemies, will cause damage if you hit them when they are blocking your attacks. Phosphor grenades will create pools of burning damage to flush you out of hiding spots, and sniper crossbows which fire explosive bolts, causing lots of damage if you don't remove them in time. So that's more or less a lot of information about just one enemy faction and their respective collection of enemy types. I don't think these will be the biggest threats we happen across, but they certainly do not look like a walk in the park. Of course, outside of these enemies, we do have the Fug types featured in a lot of the gameplay footage currently available, but some trailers show Nosferatu/feral ghoul-like creatures, and there is the mention of kindred foes, which look to be some of the strongest challenges we will come up against. Lastly, we also have the legendary Hunter Santiago with the following description. The IAO aren't the only hunters to feature in Bloodlines 2. There is evidence that an ancient hunter is active on the streets of Seattle. In the early years of the 20th century, many kindred met their final deaths at the hands of a hunter known as Santiago. Multiple coteries were wiped out in San Francisco and New Orleans, their destruction attributed to the same relentless pursuer. At the site of each incident, an ornate metal memento in the shape of a sharpened cross was left behind. Crucifixes of this form are called the Cross of St. James, hence the name given to this hunter. Speculation persists that Santiago, whoever they truly were, was a member of the Society of Leopold, one of the most ancient and feared factions of hunters of the supernatural. If that were true, Santiago would have seen themselves as a soldier of Christ, waging a holy war against the damned. So we don't truly know how deep the enemy roster goes, but it does look promising enough for now. The basic combat and its baseline mechanics all seem quite well fleshed out, and I am liking the idea of some nuance to my directional input whilst fighting. But as for the overall experience, we will just have to wait and see. Anyway, that would be it for this one, folks. I'll be back very soon with more Bloodlines 2, and of course, come launch, I will be covering the game in full with news and patch notes videos, so do stick around for that. I do of course have a range of guide and news videos on the channel already, so do feel free to stop on by and check things out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, peace.